I still believe that he should turn the step-aside money down and go and try to get those titles back. But I wouldn't be that upset with him if he decided to kick back and collect that 15 million pounds. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Dazn Boxing Show. I go by the name of Bach.
And I'm Barack the Boxing Bully.
I'm ready to go, man. Big upset in Atlantic City. We have to get into it. Gary Russell Jr. takes a loss and loses the belt after 7 years of being champion. Let's talk about it. It's the opening bell.
We saw a big upset on Saturday night as Mark Magsayo ended the almost 7-year WBC Featherweight Championship reign of Gary Russell Jr. in Atlantic City, almost close to his hometown, via majority decision. I know this is not something that you expected. Even other boxers who was present, like Jaron Ennis and guys like that, and Stephen Fulton, said that they felt like Gary Russell won. Could it have gone either way or what?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I mean, you never know. Obviously, this judging thing is all subjective. You have to consider the fact that Gary hurt his shoulder in the 4th round. So when a guy is injured in the ring and it's apparent, you know, guys tend to kind of give them more credit for certain things in a fight because they're thinking about him only having one arm. So if a round is close and can go either way, you're going to kind of sway to the guy with one arm because you're impressed that he's able to do that with one arm. So I think that affects a lot of people's judgment when it comes to round, to judging fights. But credit to Magsayo, he who came there to win the fight, to win the title. He wasn't overwhelmed by the moment, by the skills, by the southpaw stance of the long-reigning champion Gary Russell Jr. I think it was a hell of a fight, no question about it. Yes, in my opinion, Brock, it would be a different fight if Gary was able to use, his right arm. That's going to affect you. That's the hand in front, the jab. That's what controls the distance, helps a boxer like Gary Russell be more effective. So credit to him for actually finishing that fight. I thought maybe the fight could have been a draw. That's probably how I would have scored it. Nevertheless, the man that won, at least he earned it.
I understood what the judges saw because Magsayo only landed 10 jabs. That means out of those 150 punches that he landed, 140 of them were power punches. Now, the thing was, what a lot of people were seeing, and probably Jaron Ennis and Stephen Fulton saw, they saw that masterful class of defense and footwork and him and Gary Russell Jr. making Magsayo miss so much, but at the same time, he landed 140 power punches, that is. You know what I mean? So I can understand why the judges did that. I think it was just harder, like when we look back at maybe other fighters when they hurt their hand, when you hurt your backhand, your power hand, it's still a little bit easier to keep the fighter off you because you got your lead hand. Let's say if it was Gary Russell, it would be his right hand, which is the lead hand, to keep the fighter off and move and jab. When you don't even have that weapon to jab and all you have is your backhand, if you can't switch to the right-handed position, it's a harder fight. So, and it's legitimately got hurt in the 4th round. We've seen him wince, we've seen him shake his arm, and from then on, he had only that left hand, so it was a tough fight for him. But if CompuBox is correct, and of course they're not perfect, but if they're correct, he landed a lot. Magsayo landed a lot more punches than Gary Russell Jr., but it is round per round. Did Gary Russell show that he's a warrior? 100%. Did he show that his defense is impeccable? 100%. But it's hard just having that backhand to just dodge every single punch, especially from a guy with a punch output like Mark.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. Ultimately, I would like to see a rematch. And I know it's tough, because if the guy wins, there should be a rematch clause in the contract. Gary Russell is a champion. That's usually standard. So if we see it again, I'd like to see Gary Russell 100% with both arms.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's 33 years old. I know they were talking about ring rust. Hey, I thought Mark was looking good in the first few rounds as well with a little bit of counter punches. Of course, the speed goes to Gary Russell. And Gary Russell was actually walking him down. He was staying in the pocket. So if before the fourth round, it looked like maybe Gary Russell was like, okay, I know my shoulder's hurt. Before it starts hurting even more, let me try and get this guy out of here. I don't know, because he was kind of walking him down. But can Gary Russell come back from, like, maybe he needs surgery or therapy or whatever, but can he come back from a surgery at 33 years old right now and then still be 100% to beat guys like this?
That's a great question. But look, according to Gary Russell Jr. himself, he feels like it was a landslide if he won that fight. He posted something. He took to social media to post this after the fight. Check it out.
Hey, Slim. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Politics is a bad. I beat that boy at least 10 rounds to 2, 9 to 3, man. Man, took old boy to school, man. I don't know, man. It is what it is, man. I just wanted to come on here and show y'all some love, man. They been trying to get it out the way, I guess. I don't know. But it is what it is, man. To the fans, man, I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm a true dog at the end of the day, though. I been my arm up like 2 weeks before the camp. Still fought, and to be honest with you, I outclassed them, outschooled them, outboxed them with one arm, man. One arm, I got a whole torn tendon in my man.
All right, well, there you have it, Barack. I mean, the guy felt like he won easily. He said he outboxed them, you know, he outworked them even with one arm. So obviously he feels like he won. I'm pretty sure he's gonna want a rematch.
His face sure looked like he wasn't touched. You know, it's different when you're inside the ring. I know boxers are not sitting there actually counting rounds. I'm sure he wasn't counting, yep, that's my 6th round, that's my 9th round, you know, but he judges it by, okay, he's not landing cleanly, he's not hurting me, you know, and I think that's how boxers judge their fights, you know, but at the end of the day, Makasayu landed more punches and he threw so many, and that's probably what the judges were looking at. And at the same time, I'm sure the judges saw that masterful class of defense, you know, and him and Gary Russell being able to counterpunch with that one hand.
And Barack, you know, here's a perfect example of subjective. When you got 2 young fighters, 2 young champions, like they put out some tweets. Devin Haney says Mr. Cap, aka Gary Russell, lost to a bum, and then you see a guy like Shakur Stevenson say 100% healthy Gary stops this guy, if you ask me. So there's different perspectives.
Yeah, that's because Shakur is not beefing with Gary Russell and Devin Haney. You know, they tried to make a fight happen.
And look, maybe down the line, these guys get their hash out of the ring. We're talking about Gary Russell Jr. and Devin Haney. Gary always, you know, has talked about going up in weight. So, but yeah, more on that story. You know, make sure you check out the Zone News. Gary Russell Jr. and Mark Masayu undercard had controversial moment as late replacement Zakaria Lucas felt he was close to victory over Naoya due to referee incompetence. The bout was scored a draw by judges, but the key moment happened in the 8th round when Lucas connected with a power punch, a power jab at that. Naoya went down. Referee Eddie Claudio ruled it a slip instead of a knockdown. Now, Barack, obviously, if you watch that clip from various angles, there was a power jab that landed there, and immediately after that, it seems like his left foot did slip, but there was a power punch connected, a power jab connected right before that. So, I mean, I would have scored a knockdown. Now, Eddie's a great referee. What really was odd was after when he was shown the clip in the ring with Hall of Famer Jim Gray, he still didn't see the punch, or at least he claimed he didn't see it. And that was odd because you can clearly see that he was hit right on the jaw with a stiff jab, Barack. But I thought that it should have been scored a knockdown, no question about it.
First of all, I want to say shout out to Eddie Claudio for being the 3rd man in the ring. It's not as easy as it looks. Mm-hmm. And speaking of looking, to us, we get to see replay, we get to see different angles. We're almost always in the right position, almost always. So we can see that, yes, it was the right foot of Naoya that slipped. And basically, when you miss a left hook like that, because that's what happened, Lucas weaved that left hook. And yes, the body can take you that way. and if your right foot is not planted, it can slip out from behind you. So it just so happens that Claudio's vantage point, he was directly behind Naoya. So yes, that body language shows you a slip. But before he even finished with that left hook, Naoya finished with that left hook, he got hit with a jab. And if you get hit before you go down, then that is a knockdown. The only problem is that when they showed Eddie the clip, the referee, Eddie Claudio, he didn't say that he saw the punch. And it was obvious. It was obvious that there was a punch. Maybe he was feeling bad because he felt at the moment maybe he got it wrong. You gotta stand by what you saw because yes, the body language did say slip. From your vantage point, it's okay. It's okay, brother. It's okay because you're not gonna be positioned properly all the time. So if you say, you know what, I didn't see that.
It's exactly, that's my point. You don't stand by what you thought you saw after seeing what actually happened. Now, in real time, you're right.
You don't say I don't see it now.
No, that's my point.
Say, you know what, I did not see it from my vantage point.
Yes, exactly. Just take the L, take the hit, and admit it. Don't try to, justify the decision you made in that ring because it was a determining factor in the fight. But clearly there was a punch landed, and it should have been scored a knockdown. But yes, to your point, I know that it's not easy from where the refs are, and we see it differently. But after watching that clip, should have stood down and said that now I see the punch. But listen,
it's not easy for anybody to take a loss. You know how many fighters say, oh yeah, he caught me with a good shot, but I wasn't hurt. And he's like,
no doubt, but the referee's job is a little different. Supposed to be neutral.
But still,
I'm not attacking.
It's looking bad. It's looking bad in front of the whole world.
This brings me to an important point, Barack, and we talked about this. We've been talking about this for years, but because of moments like this that potentially cause fighters their wins and losses and so on and so forth, why not implement replay into boxing in between rounds? Why wouldn't that be a part of a fight? Because if we see it like this, that should be scored a knockdown, and then in turn it would give the fighter the win.
Lucas would have won the fight like he should have, because it was a split draw, and at one point would have, even though he probably won that round already, that one point would have gave him the victory, and that's pretty sad. Last minute replacement. Yes, getting a draw for him was a win because he was a last minute replacement. He didn't have time a full camp.
But he should have been given the victory. Exactly. Should have been given the victory. So listen, at the end of the day, we want replay implemented in boxing judging.
So we may be getting an undisputed champion in the heavyweight division as Gareth Davies from The Telegraph reports that Anthony Joshua is close to accepting 15 million pounds to step aside from his rematch with Usyk, only to allow Usyk to fight Tyson Fury, with Joshua getting the winner later in the year. Can we blame AJ if this is true? Can we blame AJ for taking step aside money if 15 million pounds is that number?
Barack, I talked about this back a couple months ago when people were saying that AJ was considering taking step-aside money. I kind of frowned upon it, and I didn't like the idea because, a guy of that stature who's made as much money as he has doesn't really need step-aside money. He's in it more for the legacy, for the glory, and as he went to Saudi Arabia to regain all of his titles, I wanted him to have that same mindset. When you think about it, though, $15 million it's not that's not a little bit of money.
So it's more than that.
Right. It's about $20 million or so. So that's not light money. He can do a lot with that money for just kicking back and possibly fighting Tyson Fury in a much bigger fight if Tyson would have beat Usyk. So I'm not that upset at it the way I once was. Don't get me wrong, I still believe that he should turn the step-aside money down and go and try to get those titles back, but I wouldn't be that upset with him if he decided to kick back and collect that 15 million pounds.
Yeah, my own stupid opinion is, I'm a fighter. I say fight the guy that beat you. You know what I'm saying? Go back and fight him. But if there's a reason, it has to be more than money. In my opinion, if this was even true, because I don't even think this is true. You never really know. we were reporting that Mike Tyson, Jake Paul thing. So it's like you never really know. You know, things get said. But I would like to know the reason why, because I'm pretty sure it's more than money if this is true. What's the reason? So I could train a little bit longer with my new coach, you know, get acclimated to that. So no matter who I fight, I'll do better, or what? What's the reason? Because I was on the assumption that Joshua wants this rematch and that's it. Remember Eddie Hearn was like, saying that Joshua was like, don't even come to me with that unless it really makes sense.
Well, speaking of Eddie Hearn, Michael Benson tweets out, Eddie Hearn has revealed that he is set for a meeting with Anthony Joshua and his team tomorrow to go through plans for his next fight. We have a number of proposals and options to discuss. The goal remains the same, to recapture the heavyweight crown. So according to Eddie Hearn, it doesn't look like AJ is going to be stepping aside for any money. So we'll see what happens in the next few days.
Right, because I want to know, if he does decide to step aside, what does that do to Anthony Joshua's name? What do the people say? You know? And that's the thing. And I think it really depends on what's his reasoning for stepping aside.
If I was a betting man, I'll just say that the rematch will happen and he won't step aside. All right, Barack, before we get out of here, we may be one step closer to a Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou mega fight after Ngannou successfully defended his UFC heavyweight title on Saturday night by defeating Cyril Gane. Ngannou won the fight despite going into it with serious leg injury. UFC President Dana White didn't wrap the belt around Ngannou's waist after the fight, and of course the Gypsy King and Ngannou wasted no time exchanging words on social media after Ngannou's win. Look, Barack, I mean, are you really interested in an Ngannou Tyson Fury fight before we touch on the UFC?
No, I'm not interested in that fight because usually what happens is the UFC fighter comes over to the boxing world and loses, except for when they fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. You know, but that's Anderson Silva. He's just an amazing athlete, you know. But I got to give Francis Ngannou credit for going into that fight with a medial collateral ligament tear, supposedly, and still being victorious over Gane. That was incredible. Now I don't know the politics.
What'd you call that again? Hold on, a medial what?
Collateral
that was
ligament
fancy
tear. Yeah, MCL. I'm sorry, I'm a doctor.
I know. You got
so, you know, and I don't know the politics. I don't know the reasoning why Dana White didn't come put the strap around the champion's waist like he normally does. Why he didn't have the belt handy and didn't go to the press conference.
Because the Ngannou holds no punches, Barack, because he speaks his mind and he'll tell you like it is. I'm not happy at the UFC, and Dana White doesn't like that. He wants guys to stay quiet, hush up, and say that they're happy, and he's just being honest, and Dana doesn't like that type of energy. So I like Ngannou's energy, man. I always have.
Oh, so you speaking for Dana right now? Yeah, Dana's upset. Dana's upset at Ngannou. Yeah, I mean, maybe so. Who knows? You know, I like the fact that I asked Francis, hey, you know, if you don't have boxing in your contract, will that affect you signing? And he was like, yeah, that's right. So I want to see if he stands on that statement and then see what transpired between him and the UFC. And I'm just going to be sitting and watching.
So am I. And that's our show for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace and love. Stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow.